Hi guys, we wrapped up a Healthy Hangout recently, about half an hour ago, and I'm here to share with you a little bit. Tonight was a chat, really, and one of the things that came up was certain situations or even locations that can trigger unhealthy habits. And in this case, we were talking about unhealthy eating habits. There's a wonderful book. It's one of the first personal development books I read back when I started thinking about the after part of my weight loss journey. And so I picked up a book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And I love it. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful book. And in there, he talks about situational triggers. And I think the example he gave in the book was something about when he found when he worked in an office that around at the same time of day, it was the time of day for him, he would start to feel a little something, and it would trigger him to get up and go get a cookie from the cafeteria. And so he wanted to break that habit. And so he realized that the trigger was that 3 p.m. hour. He had come to associate that with the habit of going to get the chocolate chip cookie. And when he examined that habit and what was causing him to want to do that was that he needed a break. He wanted a little social interaction from what he was doing. And so he substituted the habit of going to get a chocolate chip cookie, because hunger was not the problem, with going and having a little social break, going and talking with a coworker. And I think that a lot of us have things like that. First of all, there's the reality that if you're surrounded by food, like I know when I worked in an office and there was always the person with the candy jar on the desk, right? And it was kind of fun to stop by, dip your hand into the candy bowl, and maybe chat a little bit. And there was something kind of fun about that. But I know when I was being really mindful of my habits, I would make sure not to go by that desk, because that visual cue is really strong. And it's today I just moved the peanut butter, because I'm like, every time I open this door, I see the peanut butter staring at in my face. And so I moved it to be back behind a couple of other things in our refrigerator, so that I wasn't constantly seeing it and having to resist that urge to take a spoon and go in there every single time I opened up the fridge. So there absolutely are situational triggers. And then it came up also times of day that nighttime. And I knew this. I asked this question, but I knew the answer. Whose time of day? Who has the hardest time controlling their eating habits at night? And more than half the people raised their hands, and several of other people were not even on camera. So I bet they were raising their hands, or at least some of them were too. So, if I had a nickel for every time I talked to someone who said, I'm good all day and then nighttime comes, and I've experienced that myself. And it is real. I think whether it's true or not, there is a lot of different research on it, but it feels like self-control, willpower, whatever you want to call it, has a sort of a battery life, or it gets fatigued. The more you use it, like by the end of the day, it just gets more difficult to make those healthy choices and engage in that inner conversation that leads to a better outcome. And I think there's something to it too, that you're probably winding down, and there's you're not completely occupied, right? You're not on that schedule that you might have been on for the rest of the day. And so I think that a lot goes into it, but the reality is a lot of us work on this habit of creating routines that enable us to to do a better job of sticking with our goals and our making healthy choices at night. It's something I visit and revisit fairly often. Things change. When I first started my health journey, my kids were 2 and 5, and now they are just about 10 and 12 and a half. And it's a different set of circumstances. And I'm still the one bringing most of the food into the house, but they have a lot more say in what is available these days. And luckily they like a lot of healthy foods. But every once in a while, these Oreos or ice cream show up. Ice cream is one of those things, to this day, I just don't keep it in the house. But just this past week, ice cream sandwiches showed up in my freezer. Like, what are you guys doing? My home is a safe place. So, this is not something, it's not one and done. Sometimes, even I will change my approach. Let's try it this way. Let's see what happens. Let's see how this goes. I used to keep a lot of nuts in the house. They're healthy, right? Found that wasn't really great for not just me, but for other people in the house as well. So we do eat nuts, but not on a regular basis. They come in once in a while. So habits, you guys, it's real. It is what we do most of the time that matters. And then I like to think of it as like shock absorbers. And then your habits set you up and they give you lots of shock absorption. And so when you do that thing, you have that bacon cheeseburger, you have that dessert, whatever, on the occasion, it's the exception, not the rule. You've set yourself up with these healthy habits. You have that shock absorption available. But mostly I love that it's not boilerplate. It's not one size fits all. Because for some people, it's a case of, I'm just not going to eat that certain kind of food anymore because it just causes me so many problems, whether it's an allergy or whether it's it starts a slippery slope sort of thing. And for some people, it is engaging in moderation and creating empowerment around that. So that's it. It comes down to empowerment. What is the most empowering thing for a person at that moment? And sometimes it is abstinence from a certain thing. Sometimes it is a small amount and knowing that you can have a small amount of something and walk away. And sometimes it is speaking up for yourself and saying, no, thank you. I really don't want that. I know this is what I've done before, or I normally say yes to this, but today I'm saying no. And no, my friend, is a complete sentence. So I love getting in there and getting to the specifics, because we can have all these platitudes and all these principles, but what matters is how we are going to implement it in our lives. And so having that opportunity to talk that through with somebody and verbalize it, and it's really, really powerful. So what's the most empowering thing you're going to do for yourself tonight, tomorrow, this week? I want to hear about it. Have a great night. Make it a healthy one.